Atma Namaste again, and welcome to the study of the book Man, Visible and Invisible. So as usual, let's start with a short invocation. Please close your eyes. Inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. Relax your body. Calm your mind and calm your emotions. Mentally say, I am not the body. The body is just a vehicle of the soul. Be aware of your whole body. If you feel any pain or discomfort at any area of your body, bring your awareness to that area and mentally say, I let go. Visualize your whole body disintegrate and disappear. All the pain and discomfort in your body disintegrate and disappear. What remains is just brilliant white light. Inhale slowly and deeply. Exhale slowly and deeply. Now bring your awareness higher to your thoughts and your emotions. Just observe each and every thought that comes to your mind and fades away. Mentally say, I am not my thoughts. I am not my emotions. Thoughts and emotions are just products of the soul. I am the soul. I am that I am. Visualize all your thoughts and emotions disintegrate and disappear. All your fears, worries, frustrations disintegrate and disappear. And what remains is just brilliant white light. Inhale slowly and deeply. Exhale slowly and deeply. Now bring your awareness higher to your crown chakra and mentally say, to the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our spiritual teacher, to Master Chua Kok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, and all the great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. Thank you for all of your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, and divine power, divine guidance, help, and protection. Thank you for bringing us all here to study this book together. Thank you in full faith. Inhale slowly. Inhale all the blessings. Exhale slowly and be aware of your whole body. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly. Inhale all the blessings. And exhale slowly. Now, please put your two hands in a namaste position in front of your heart. Be aware of the presence of each and every person in this session and mentally say, Namaste. Thank you for being here. And when you're comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big smile. Namaste, everyone, and welcome to the study of the book Man, Visible and Invisible. So as usual, we are going to read through the book and then try to understand and discuss what each paragraph, what each sentence mean. And if you have questions, as always, please put in the chat. If you have any ideas, anything to explain more, or any reflections that you want to share with the others, please feel free to put in the chat or even discuss, unmute and discuss about it. Okay, so let me share. So this book is written by Leadbeater, and today most probably we will read 4 chapters of the book, starting with how these things are known. So basically the first chapter is about how Leadbeater has come to what you call information, has come up with the information and details that we are going to study in this book, and explains that how the investigation has been done and usually is being done. Okay, so it starts with explaining how usually people try to understand the world. So it says man is curiously complex being, and his evolution, past, present, and future, is a study of perennial interest for all who can see and understand. Now, when we say man, first of all, it doesn't mean only male, but also female. Okay, so in fact, it talks about human. Okay, so and the study of human has always been a part of investigation, philosophical, spiritual. So many people, mystics, saints, have tried to understand how human being is, how this world is made up, where, how, or from where we have come from and where we go after this, and so on. Now, what we didn't include here, but I will explain, is the book explains that the information is usually either through theology and religion, and sometimes it's, when it comes to there, it's a bit more like a belief system, or sometimes it tends to get fanatical, sometimes, not all the time, because people look at the words but not the essence of the words. And then we have the other group who claim to be scientific, and they disregard religion completely, and they only focus on science. Okay, and that one also, in most of the cases, cannot really present exactly what we have, because in that societies, understanding the world is usually confined to becoming a bit more materialistic. So we only look at what science or physics can actually discuss, but not beyond that. Okay, so we actually need something that combines these two and go beyond that and investigate how the world actually is. Okay, so he says Theosophy comes forward with a theory based upon entirely different foundations, while in no way depreciating the knowledge to be gained either by study of the ancient scriptures or by philosophical reasoning. It nevertheless regards the constitution and the evolution of man as matters not of speculation, but of simple investigation. So basically it says, in Theosophy, we are not disregarding what the religion is talking about, or any scriptures are talking about, or what philosophical reasoning and scientific studies are talking about, but we actually try to investigate. So we are not speculating, we are not assuming, we are trying to investigate using different senses, which one of them is clairvoyance. And the book is going to discuss shortly about that, to understand actually how human being is, how the world is, and how our evolution is going to be. Okay, and then the book says, for the past history of man, this theory depends not only upon the concurrent testimony of the tradition of the earlier religions, but upon the examination of a definite record, a record which can be seen and consulted by anyone who possesses the degree of clairvoyance requisite to appreciate the vibrations of the finely subdivided matter upon which it is impressed. Okay, so means not only we study the past ancient scriptures and what the advanced souls are talking about the evolution of human beings, but through clairvoyance observations, we try to go one step further and investigate. Now, in pranic healing, besides clairvoyance, from the basic pranic healing itself, we also discuss about scanning. Okay, our chakras are sites or seats for power. Each of the chakras, if developed, give us certain powers. For example, crown chakra, if sufficiently activated, give us the ability to intuit. So our intuition will develop. Forehead chakra gives us the ability of clairvoyance. Ear minor chakra, if developed, we will access to clairaudience. And hand minor chakra, as we develop it, we are trying to scan things and feel things with our hands. So all of these powers help us to investigate. And that is why even in basic pranic healing, the first thing we discuss is do not believe whatever is being discussed in the class. Think about it, analyze, experiment, and later on when you learn how to scan and come up with your own conclusions. So that is also the approach that Leadbeater has taken to come up with whatever we're going to discuss in this book. So for its knowledge as to the future which awaits humanity depends first upon logical deduction from the character of the progress already made. Second, on direct information supplied by men who have already reached those conditions which for most of us still constitute a more or less remote future. And third, on the comparison which anyone who has the privilege of seeing them may make between highly evolved men at various levels. So basically, we already have some people who are far beyond everyone else in this path of evolution, okay? So we can actually see where we are heading and what will be each stage of the way. And by understanding how far some beings have reached, we can somehow understand what will be the future. So we can imagine that a child who did not otherwise know the course of nature might reason that he would presently grow up and become a man, merely from the fact that he had already grown to a certain extent and in a certain way, and that he saw around him other children and young people at every stage of growth between his own and the adult level. So basically here it explains that imagine you are a child, so you see other children beside you, you see teenagers, you see adults, and you see middle-aged people and older generation. So by seeing all these different people in different stages of life, you can roughly understand what will be the evolution for you physically. So it means your body is going to grow up, you will become a teenager at some point, then you will become adult, you will become middle-aged and old. Similarly, when we look at how different people are in different stages of evolution spiritually, we have seen masters, grandmasters, we have seen seniors, we have seen different people in different stages of evolution. So by seeing that, we can also roughly understand where we are standing and what will be for us in the future. Okay. And then chapter 1 also explains about clairvoyance a bit, which I didn't include in this presentation. It says that we don't need to basically try to prove that clairvoyance exists, because people who see, they know that it exists and they know that they see. Now, people who don't see, no matter how much you explain to them, they may not accept. And it's somehow useless to try to actually reason and make them understand and believe its existence. And the example given in the book is that imagine some people are sleeping and never waking up, but there are some people who wake up and experience the life apart from dreams and being asleep. Now, no matter how much you explain, or there are some people who are blind and there are some people who have eyes. So the people who can see know that they can see the world. And when they explain this to people who are blind, the blind people may say, you are only imagining. What you are saying is just illusion, it's just imagination. And no matter how much you explain to them that, no, we are actually seeing the world and the world exists, you are blind and you cannot see, they don't accept it because they cannot see it. Okay, so, and then the Leadbeater in the book says it's a bit useless to try to actually prove that it exists, because whoever can see, they know that it exists. And that is not part of this book to do. There is another book called Clairvoyance, and we have actually a study on that. If you go to pranaworld.net/ESC, you can also see the clairvoyance. If you are more interested in that subject, you can actually try to study that book. The recordings are available. So proving clairvoyance is not part of the book, but investigations that have been done using clairvoyance ability is part of the book. Okay, now second chapter is the planes of nature. So here we discuss about different planes, from physical to astral to mental and above. So the book says the first point, which must be clearly comprehended, is the wonderful complexity of the world around us. The fact that it includes enormously more than comes within the range of ordinary vision. Okay, so most people can only see physical things, even not the full physical thing, maybe only solid, liquid, and not even gas. Okay, but the world is much beyond that. Okay, we also have etheric. In pranic healing, we have tried to scan that, scan the aura of a person, of objects, and so on. And then we have astral, mental, and so on, which we will study in this chapter. So we are all aware that the matter exists in different conditions and that it may be made to change its conditions by variation of pressure and temperature. Okay. Now, when we study spirituality, we must always remember that as above, so below. So whatever we see in this life, we also see, or whatever we see in the physical form or in the lower levels, we also have it in the higher levels. Okay, so means when it comes to substances, physical, liquid, solid, liquid, gas, we see that these different forms can be interchanged. They can be changed to one another. Okay, for example, water can become ice and it becomes solid. And then water, when exposed to heat, it evaporates, it becomes gas. So different conditions of matter can also be transmuted one to another by pressure and temperature. We have the three well-known states of matter: the solid, the liquid, and the gaseous. And it is the theory of science that all substances can, under proper variation of temperature and pressure, exist in all these conditions. Okay, now the same way, we also have different types of matter, even in astral form, in mental form, lower mental form. So occult chemistry shows us another and higher condition, that the gases into which also all substances known to us can be translated or transmuted. And that condition we have given the name of etheric. Okay, so we have solid, we have liquid, we have gas, but above that we have etheric. Okay, now ether is basically gas with positive and negative particles. So means gas which is charged. So we may have, for example, hydrogen in an etheric condition instead of as a gas. We may have gold or silver or any other element either as a solid, a liquid, or a gas, or in this other higher state, which we call etheric. Now, in ordinary science, we speak of an atom of oxygen, an atom of hydrogen, an atom of any of the substances which chemists call elements. The theory being that that is an element which cannot be further reduced, and that each of these elements has its atom, and an atom, as we may see from the Greek term called meaning, which cannot be cut or further subdivided. Okay, so atom in Greek means something that cannot be further cut or subdivided. And so in science, when we call something an atom, like atom of oxygen, atom of Hydrogen, the idea is that is the smallest thing. But of course, this book was written like years ago, so science has already improved much more than that. But anyways, occult science has always taught that all these so-called elements are not in the true sense of the word elements at all. That what we call an atom of oxygen or hydrogen can under certain circumstances be broken up. Okay, so the atom, which believed previously to be the smallest thing that cannot be subdivided, following certain circumstances and certain situation can be actually broken up and then continue to become smaller and smaller and smaller units. By repeating this breaking up process, it is found that there is one substance at the back of all substances, and different combinations of its ultimate units give us what in chemistry are called atoms of oxygen or hydrogen, gold or silver, lithium or platinum, etc. When these are all broken up, we get back to a set of units which are all identical, except that some of them are positive, some of them are negative. Okay, so means as we break up all this, we will go back to the unit. We will go back to the initial unit from where all these physical atoms and substances have been created. Okay, and that is only in the physical plane. If we continue breaking up those, we will reach to astral atoms and then mental and so on. So even these are found to be units only from the point of view of our physical plane. That is to say, there are methods by which even they can be subdivided. But when they are so broken up, they give us matter belonging to a different realm of nature. So it means as we break up the atoms in the physical plane, we reach to that base unit where all these physical atoms started to be created. And as we break those units also, we will go to another realm, which is not physical anymore, but it's astral. Again, by carrying on our process of subdivision far enough, we reach another unit, the unit of that realm of nature to which occultists have given the name of the astral world. And if we keep breaking up, then we will reach to the mental world. Once again, we find matter existing in definitely marked conditions corresponding at that much higher level to the states with which we are familiar. And the result of our investigations bring us once again to a unit, the unit of this third great realm of nature, which in Theosophy we call the mental world. So it means if we keep dividing and subdividing and breaking up the atoms, we will reach to the astral side of them, astral side of matters. And as we keep breaking up, we will reach to the mental side of matters. So far as we know, there is no limit to this possibility of subdivision, but there is a very distinct limit to our capability of observing it. So it means as we keep breaking them up, we can even go higher, but the problem is there is a limit to our capability of observing, because earlier in the book we said that the investigations are done by clairvoyant observations. And for clairvoyant observation, there is also a limitation based on how developed the person is. Okay, not everyone has mental sight. Some can only see astral sight or etheric, like still physical but etheric. So the book says, Leadbeater in the book says, if we keep breaking up, we can go higher and higher. But the problem is our limitation in observing how far we can go. So in our literature, these different realms of nature are frequently spoken of as planes, because in our study, it is sometimes convenient to image them as one above another, according to the different degrees of density of the matter of which they are composed. Now, for the sake of understanding, for the sake of comprehension, we call them planes and we put them one above the other. Okay, with the more coarse and the more heavier ones to be in the lower or more lower vibrations, one in the lower part. And as the vibration goes higher, as the matter becomes more refined, less heavier, it goes higher and higher to astral, to mental, to Buddhic and above. So this is for the sake of understanding. We call them levels, planes, and we put them one level above the other. But in reality, it's not like that. In reality, all of them are inside one another. Just how the energy body is both inside the physical body and outside the physical body. The astral body or the emotional body is also both inside the physical body and outside the physical body. Same goes with the mental body, both inside and out. And the soul is both inside and out of all these things. Now, this is about the human body, but in the world, therefore, all of them are existing at the same time. It's just in different levels. So it's like radio. If we want to tune into different radio stations, we need to change the frequency in our radio and then tune into that channel. Similarly, all of this matter, all of these planes exist simultaneously in the world. And for us to understand or to experience them, we need to tune into that frequency. We need to tune into that energy. Okay, so like later there will be more explanation about that. So we may experience the physical world, and then if we tune into the ether, the more refined part of the physical world, then we can actually sense the aura, we can feel the aura. That is what we have been doing since basic pranic healing. And then if we tune in higher to the astral body, we may be able to actually feel or sense the emotions of the person and so on. So they must not be imagined as lying above one another like the shelves of a bookcase, but rather as filling the same space and interpenetrating one another. So this is what we just discussed. So these planes are not one above the other. It's not like layers, but all interpenetrating one another. It is a fact well known to science that even in the hardest substances, no two atoms ever touch one another. Always each atom has its field of action and vibration, and every molecule in turn has its larger field, so that there is always space between them under any possible circumstances. Okay, now in the physical world, even two atoms, they don't touch each other. There is always larger space between them. Now, this goes the same way between the astral and the physical world. An astral being and a person who has a physical body can be occupying the same space and they don't affect one another. Okay, so means we are in an ocean of life energy. We are in an ocean filled with so many beings in different levels, yet we don't influence each other. So means we may be occupying the same space without actually affecting each other's bodies. Every physical atom is floating in an astral sea, a sea of astral matter which surrounds it and fills every gap in this physical matter. The mental matter in its turn interpenetrates the astral in precisely the same manner, so that all these different realms of nature are not in any way separated in space, but are all existing around us and about us here and now, so that to see them and to investigate them, it is not necessary for us to make any movement in space, but only to open within ourselves the senses by means of which they can be perceived. Exactly like radio that we discussed. If we want to tune into different channels, we don't need to move the radio from one space to another space. We just need to change the frequency. Similarly, all these matters in different levels exist simultaneously in the same space. So if we want to perceive them, we don't need to move in space, but we just need to raise our consciousness higher so that we can experience the matter and we can sense these matter in different levels. Okay, now later we will do a practice together to sense the energy of our aura just by tuning into it to see what we can sense, what we can feel. Yeah. Okay, so that was chapter 2. Any questions so far? Please put in the chat so we can discuss about it. Now, chapter 3, clairvoyant sight. Now, all these varieties of finer matter exist not only in the world without, but they exist in man also. So it means whatever we just discussed, that all this matter exists simultaneously in the world, all those matter also exist, and all those principles and concepts also exist in our system, in our body. So he has not only the physical body which we see, but he has also within him what we may describe as bodies, appropriate to these various planes of nature, and consisting in each case of their matter. So means, as in the world we have physical plane, astral plane, mental plane, and so on. In our system, we also have physical body, we have astral body, mental body, causal body. Now, etheric body or energy body is part of the physical body. One is visible and one is invisible. Just as we see, they are only different levels of the physical plane. So we have solid, liquid, gas, then we have etheric. Still part of the physical, but it's not visible to the sight, to the normal sight. So in man's physical body, there is etheric matter, as well as the solid matter, which is visible to us. And this etheric matter is readily visible to the clairvoyant. If you have done basic pranic healing workshop, one of the first practices we did was to look at the aura in a human person, in a human body, and also to look at the aura surrounding a tree. So you could see actually with your eyes that this etheric body exists. So, and the clairvoyants are capable of perceiving this finer etheric matter. Now, in the same way, a more highly developed clairvoyant who is capable of perceiving the more refined astral matter sees the man represented at that level by a mass of that matter, which is in reality his body or vehicle as regards that plane. And exactly the same thing is true with regard to the mental plane in its turn. Now, not all clairvoyants can see all the bodies. It depends on how developed that quality or that power is. Okay, some clairvoyants can only perceive and see the etheric matter. More developed clairvoyants can also see the astral matter. And then they could start to see colors in that astral matter. And each of those colors are connected with a certain emotion. Now, if you have joined our study on astral body book, towards the beginning, we also discussed what each color means in relation to emotions. So if a clairvoyant can see a certain thought form, based on the shape of the thought form and the color, they can actually know what emotions, what thought the person has created. Now, the more advanced clairvoyants can also see the matter in the mental plane. Okay, so in relation to human system, we call that the mental body. So they can also see how the mental body look like. And then by looking at the mental body, by seeing the composition of the mental body, they may actually know how this person thinks. Okay, like for example, the more refined, more higher vibration thoughts are usually gathered in the upper part of the aura. So if they see a person as inverted egg, it means the person thinks. If they see the mental body of the person as an inverted egg, then they may know that this person thinks about more higher or more refined thoughts. And if the mental body looks like an egg, means the lower part is bigger, then it may mean more lower vibrations thoughts. And then based on the color, based on the composition, they can know how the mental body of the person works. Okay, I remember reading in another book that if a person becomes fixated in certain ideas and the person becomes fanatic, the shape of the mental body change. And instead of being so holistic and like so homogenic, it has lines. For example, if this is the mental body of a person who is fanatical, mental body develops certain lines, something like this. And then whatever thought the person receives from others, it will go and get stored on these lines. So means the person cannot understand things more objectively and openly, because whatever thoughts or whatever information they get from the surrounding world, they only get categorized into the lines that already exist in the mental body of the person. So that is when we say the person has become fanatical and cannot think openly, because the mental body has lost its proper shape. And one of the things which can help to bring it back to a normal mental body, a more open-minded one, is meditation. Because meditation helps to break these patterns, disintegrate this form, and make it again homogenic like before, like make it more coherent, not like lines anymore, divided into different lines. Okay, so the soul of man has not one body, but many bodies. For when sufficiently evolved, he is able to express himself on all these different levels of nature, and he is therefore provided with a suitable vehicle of the matter belonging to each. And it is through these various vehicles that he is able to receive impressions from the world to which they correspond. Okay, so our human soul has different vehicles. We call them bodies or vehicles: physical body, emotional body, mental body. And all these bodies are there because of certain functions. For example, we experience the physical world using our physical body. We experience emotions because of the existence of our astral body or emotional body. And we can think and process information, and we can store information because of the existence of our mental body. Okay, so these are like different vehicles. For example, a person may have a car to move in the city, and a boat to be able to move in the ocean, and maybe a plane to be able to fly in the air. Similarly, each of these bodies have a certain function, and we need all of them in order to experience the world around us and to evolve. So we must not think of the man as creating these vehicles for himself in the course of his future evolutions, for every man possesses them from the beginning, though he is by no means conscious of their existence. So this means that we all have all these bodies. And it's not like as we evolve, we start creating these bodies for ourselves. From the moment we are born, we have all these bodies, but all these bodies are in different levels of evolution. Okay, for example, when we are a baby, we are not really able to use our physical body properly. We cannot even walk properly. We fall several times until we walk. Similarly, when we are a baby soul, we may not be able to function and use our astral body and mental body fully, even the physical body. Okay, so in one of the soulful sessions, we had study of initiations, and we discussed that each of these initiations we pass when we gain full control over these vehicles. For example, once we gain full control over the physical body, then we pass initiation level 1. When we have full control over the emotional body, we pass initiation level 2. When we have full control over the mental body, we pass initiation level 3. So it means we have all these bodies from the beginning, but how much we can use them and experience them is different based on their evolution. For example, if someone's astral body is sufficiently developed, the astral body can be used as an independent vehicle to experience the world. And those people who do astral travel, for example, have experienced that they can leave their physical body in a certain space or place, then use their astral body to experience another country or city or environment, something like that. So every time that we think, so everybody has all these vehicles, but not everybody is conscious about it. So many people are materialistic yet, and when you talk about the aura, the chakras, they laugh at you because means they are not yet in a level that they are conscious about their etheric body. Okay, now etheric body is still part of the physical body, but even that, some people, they neglect or they are not conscious of. And as the person develops, they start to understand and be conscious of all these different bodies. So every time that we think, we set in motion the mental matter within us. And a thought is clearly visible to a clairvoyant as a vibration in that matter set up first of all within the man, and then affecting matter of the same degree of density in the world around him. But before this thought can be effective on the physical plane, it has to be transferred from that mental matter into the astral matter. And when it has excited similar vibrations in that, the astral matter in its turn affects the etheric matter, creating sympathetic vibrations in it, and that in turn affects upon the denser physical matter, the gray matter of the brain. Okay, so means whenever we think, first the mental body is affected. Okay, so the mental matter is affected. So we set a motion in the mental matter, and then that needs to be translated and transferred into the astral matter. And then from the astral matter, it has to transfer into the etheric matter and then the gray matter of the brain. Then we start to act upon it when the brain receives that impression. So every time we think, we go through a much longer process than we know. Just as every time we feel anything, we go through a process of which we are quite unconscious. We touch some substance and feel that it is too hot, and we snatch away our hand from it instantaneously as we think. But science teaches us that this process is not instantaneous, and that it is not the hand which feels, but the brain, that the nerves communicate the idea of this, that the withdrawal takes place, though it seems to us to be immediate. So it means even in the physical world, when we touch something which is too hot and we immediately, instantaneously take off our hand from it, it appears to be instantaneous, but what we sense from the hand needs to be transmitted to the brain, and the brain will give this order to take away the hand. Similarly, when we think and that thought gets processed in our brain and then gets translated into an action, a much longer process is being done. Although it appears to be instantaneous, we think of walking, we walk, but actually the thought gets created in the mental body, then gets transferred to the astral body, the astral part of the brain, and then the etheric part of the brain, and then the physical brain, and then gets translated into the action of walking. So the process has a definite duration, which can be measured by sufficiently fine instruments. The rate of its motion is perfectly well defined and known to physiologists. Just in the same way, thought appears to be an instantaneous process, but it is not. For every thought has to go through the stages which was just described. Now, we all have experienced this during meditation sometimes. So sometimes we meditate, we have a question in our mind, for example, we meditate. And after the meditation, we see that we have not received any answer, right? After some time, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 1 day, suddenly the idea comes, the answer comes. And then we think, oh, this is the answer to my question. But how come it took more than few hours or a day, or sometimes it needs an external stimuli for us to actually pick up the thought. For example, you got an answer about buying a house, for example, okay? So the idea did not got transferred to your brain after the meditation, but maybe at 1 day later or 2 days later, you were watching the television and then you saw an advertisement about houses, and then suddenly the thought gets, and suddenly you receive the thought because of seeing that advertisement in the television. So means during the meditation, actually your consciousness expanded, actually your intuition worked, and actually you received the message. But for that message to get translated into a certain thought, which leads to an action in your brain, it took some time, because whatever we receive first is in the mental matter. It needs to be transferred to the astral matter, and then the etheric matter, and then the physical brain. And sometimes when all these bodies are not aligned, or maybe they are not as developed, or maybe they are contaminated, this process may be affected or delayed or obstructed. And another benefit of meditation, especially meditation on twin hearts, is to align all these bodies. So whenever you receive a message from your higher soul, or from the spiritual teacher through the higher soul and so on, it gets transferred to your brain instantaneously. And that is another benefit of meditation. Okay, let's continue. So we have here a kind of system of telegraphy between the physical plane and the soul. And it is important to realize that this telegraph line has intermediate sections. So means before you receive any message from the soul, it needs to be telegraphed to the mental body, and then to the astral body, and then to the etheric portion of the brain, and then to the brain, and vice versa. It is not only from the physical plane that impressions can be received. The astral matter within a man, for example, is not only capable of receiving a vibration from etheric matter and transmitting it to the mental matter, but it is also quite capable of receiving impressions from the surrounding matter of its own plane and transmitting those through the mental body to the real man within. So means maybe many of us, most of the time we receive impressions from the physical world and then that gets transmitted to the soul, but the impressions could be even received directly from the astral world or directly from the mental world. But for that, these bodies should be sufficiently activated for us to be able to receive impressions from the astral world immediately and without the interference of the physical body. So the man may use his astral body as a means of receiving impressions from and observing the astral world which surrounds him. And in exactly the same way, through his mental body, he may observe and obtain information from the mental world. Okay, now some of us, as we are doing more spiritual practice, as we are doing more meditations and purification, we start to become more sensitive to the world around us, right? So no longer we only receive the physical messages, like messages from the physical world, but we also start to sense matter in the etheric form. You know, sometimes if you become so sensitive when you are walking on a certain floor, for example, if the floor is contaminated by etheric matter, although it looks clean physically, you feel it. And then you start to, for example, move away from that place. Or you go to a certain house and then you start to sense that this house is contaminated. It could be etherically, or as we become even more sensitive, we can even sense what emotions or what thoughts are being produced in that house. So the house may be physically so clean, maybe receiving a lot of light, or the office, but the moment you go inside, you feel like it's dark, or you start to feel stress energy inside, or depression energy inside, or violence, and so on. So this is when we become more and more sensitive to higher planes, to the astral plane, to feel the emotions in a certain environment, to the mental plane, to start to sense thought forms floating in that environment. But some people, if they have not developed those bodies, they are not capable of sensing them. So maybe you are feeling uncomfortable because that environment is filled with stress energy, but another person who is not capable of sensing it feels completely okay. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't get affected by it. Of course, the aura, the system of them also get contaminated, but they don't realize. And most of the people only realize when it's already too late, when the body is already too sick, then only we realize there is something wrong in the body. But you may notice as you do more spiritual practice, even when you get a link to your solar plexus, or maybe one of your organs start to not function at optimum level, you sense something wrong with my kidney today. Or I remember one time, before even reading a certain, I was just sitting and I was doing my own work. Suddenly I felt intense pain in my solar plexus. It was like something screwing, like going deep into my solar plexus. And I was like, what happened? I was so fine. I was doing my work. What happened? And then a message came to my phone. And when I was reading the message, then I started to realize what it was. So I mean, a person was sending quite a nasty message to me because that person was not happy with certain thing which I did. So the moment that person was typing the message, she was thinking negative about me. And that translated into this link and that thought form being sent to me. And I was unconscious of it. I was just doing my work, suddenly felt that pain and that discomfort feeling in my solar plexus, and within maybe seconds or a minute, the message came. So as we start to become more and more sensitive, we start to also sense the emotions which are in the astral form, or thoughts which are floating in the mental plane. But in order to do either of these things, he must first learn how they are done. This is to say, he must learn to focus his consciousness in his astral body or in his mental body, just as it is now focused in the physical brain. Okay, now let's do a practice. In this practice, we first just want to feel the energy in our aura. Okay, we want to see how the energy feels like. Okay, so maybe I stop sharing so you can see me. Let's start with a short invocation. And then what we are going to do is to take a portion of a part of your aura or chakra, the energy of that part, try to feel. And if you have any pain or discomfort at any part of your body now, let's also take a portion of energy from there so we can compare and try to tune into this energy, let's say from your throat, and then let's say from your, I don't know, let's say you have knee pain, from your knee. And then one by one, we try to tune in and see how this energy feels like. Is it soft? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it uncomfortable? Does it hurt your fingers? Or is it silky? Is it smooth? Is it subtle and clean? Okay, let's do this only for the physical, for the etheric matter now. But in the same way, we can also try to start practicing on tuning into the astral matter, tuning into the mental astral plane and mental plane, to try to feel different emotions. And if you have done advanced pranic healing, there is one practice at the back of the book in which you try to tune in to the aura, to the system of the person, and ask. I think the name of the technique is called psychic diagnosis. So you try to ask the soul of the person and try to tune in and understand what is actually wrong with the person instead of scanning. Okay, so we will not share that practice in this session, but if you have done advanced pranic healing, I recommend you to read the book again. It's towards the end chapters where Master Choa talks about psychic diagnosis. Okay, for now, let's just do a practice to sense the energy of different parts of our aura and try to tune in and see the difference. Okay, so let's begin. We start with a short invocation. Please close your eyes. Inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. Relax your body. Calm your mind. Calm your emotions. Mentally, you may put your two hands in a namaste position in your heart. Mentally say to the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to Master Chua Kok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Meling, and all the great, great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. Thank you for all of your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, and divine power, divine guidance, help, and protection, inner healing and physical healing, good health and happiness, prosperity and abundance, spirituality and illumination. Thank you for helping us to do this practice together. Thank you for strengthening our ability to scan, our ability to sense, to feel. Thank you in full faith. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. Exhale slowly, be aware of your whole body. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. And when you are comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. So to increase our sensitivity, activation of the heart chakra helps. So that's why you may just want to tap your heart chakra a few times. And now let's begin. Okay, so first, take the energy from any general part of your aura, not a part that is affected or you are feeling pain or discomfort. Just take from, maybe from your heart. Usually the heart is clean, or the back heart. Usually the energy is more subtle, okay? Unless you have heart problem. So take the energy and try to sense, try to tune in to the energy that you just took, the sample you just took from your heart chakra. Try to sense how the energy feels like. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it heavy? Is it light? Do you feel pain? Do you feel discomfort? Do you feel it's itchy, or is it smooth? Is it silky? Is it comfortable feeling? It's nice. Just make note, yeah? Okay, now keep it, but just put your hand aside. Now with the other hand, take the energy from a portion of your body that there is some discomfort or pain or contamination. Okay, like if you have knee pain, back pain, shoulder pain, take it from that part of the body. Okay, like sometimes there is some stiffness in the neck or shoulder or whatever. Take the energy and try to sense. Tune into the energy of that portion of the body and see how that feels like. Is it soft? Is it hard? Is it heavy? Discomfort? Warm? Just sense. Is it sticky? Just sense. Take your time. We are not rushing. You can do this practice later on also. We are just doing as an experiment here. Very good. Now compare the one which you took from the heart, compare to the place, to the one that you took from the place which had some contamination. Very good. Clap. Now, did you feel any difference? It would be good to share in the chat so everyone can try to see if others have the same feeling. Which one felt more lighter, more like smoother, silky, and which one was more uncomfortable, sticky, painful? Yes, if you share, that would be good. So based on my experience, the heart was clean, was soft, was silky, was light, and the other one was a bit sticky and a bit uncomfortable. Okay, now this was to tune into the energy of etheric matter. Now we will do another experiment to tune into the energy of astral matter, emotions. Okay, and then we'll continue with the book. Okay, now for this practice, we raise two hands. To one of the hand, we are going to say and feel good positive energies and say that to the energy in the right hand to create that kind of emotion there. And then we are going to feel negative emotions and then say it a few times while looking at the energy of the left hand. And then we are going to compare. We are going to tune into these two types of emotional matter and compare and see how do we feel. Okay, let's begin with the right. So touch your heart. For this, we want to feel and say good emotions. Touch your heart. Smile. Feel love. Feel happiness. Now look at your right palm. Mentally say, happiness, sweetness, tenderness, happiness, sweetness, tenderness, gratitude, forgiveness, happiness, joy, sweetness, tenderness, happiness, joy, gratitude. Okay, try to feel how the energy is. And then to the left hand, now try to remember a time that you were upset or you were angry. What you expected didn't happen, so you were not feeling good. Feel that emotion and tell that to the left hand. Say anger, resentment, unforgiveness, sadness, anger, resentment, unforgiveness, sadness, anger, resentment, frustration, anger, resentment, frustration. Okay, now try to tune into that type of emotion and feel. And then please compare. Compare your right hand, which is filled with vibrations of love, peace, happiness, joy. Compare it with the left hand, which is filled with energies of anger, hatred, frustration, resentment. Compare. See if you feel any difference between the two. You may your hand, you may see which one feels heavier, which one feels lighter, which one feels uncomfortable, which one feels smooth, comfortable, soft. Very good. Flick and clap. Okay, so you see, doing these simple experiments help us to tune in to different types of energy. No longer physical matters only, but actually tune into etheric matter and try to sense how this etheric matter feels like. And then tune into emotional matter, astral matter, and try to see and sense difference between happiness and anger, joy and sadness, for example, jealousy. Like if you try to feel, you will feel that jealousy is quite sticky. Anger sometimes for me is quite painful and sharp. So by doing this gradually, we develop senses to not only receive impressions from the physical world, but also receive impressions from the astral world and the mental world as well. So the higher grades of matter follow on in orderly sequence from those which we already know. So that, though to some extent each plane may be regarded as a world in itself, it is yet also true that the whole is in reality one great world, which can be fully seen only by a highly developed soul. To aid us in our grasp of this, let us take an illustration which, although impossible in itself, may yet be useful to us as suggesting rather startling possibilities. Okay, I won't read from this, but I will explain what it means. So, to understand how our senses currently are so incapable of giving us a full grasp of the whole world, Leadbeater suggests a certain illustration. So he says, in our eyes, we have both solid matter and liquid matter. Okay, now imagine there is one person who can only perceive solid matters, and there is another person who can only perceive liquid matter. So it means the person who can perceive liquid matter cannot see solid, and the one who sees solid cannot see liquid. Now, the experience of environment and places are very different for these two persons. Let's say they go to the beach one person can only see water, but cannot see the beach, cannot see the soil, cannot see the trees, nothing, just water and clouds, cannot see sun. Now this person, if the person looks at water inside a glass, they can only see water, but they cannot see the cup. They cannot see a mug. They cannot see different vessels where water is poured inside, but they can see water. And then they start questioning, how come water sometimes looks like a mug, sometimes looks like a cup, sometimes looks like a vase, and so on, because that person cannot see solid, can only see liquid. Now, the other person, if they go to the beach, they only see soil. They don't see the water. They only see the surface of the ocean, the bottom of the ocean. They don't see clouds, but they see sun. So sometimes they think, how come sun sometimes shines, sometimes doesn't? Because they cannot see when the sun goes under clouds. So these people, the experiences they have from the world is so limited and so wrong. Now, when they see and talk to each other, they both have very different experiences of the same environment, but basically both of them are correct. Both of them should put whatever they have perceived and experienced together to actually understand what the world is. That is the limitation of our visions. Okay? When a person only experiences solid, but not, or physical world, but not the astral world, not the mental world, the experience is incomplete because they cannot see what is beyond that. And sometimes many questions arise because they don't see the whole world. They only see a part of it. Okay, so imagine these two persons standing side by side, each describing the landscape as he saw it, and each feeling perfectly certain that there could be no other kind of sight but his in the universe, and that anyone claiming to see anything more or anything different must necessarily be either a dreamer or a deceiver. We can smile over the incredulity of these hypothetical observers, but it is exceedingly difficult for the average man to realize that in proportion to the whole that is to be seen, his power of vision is very much more imperfect than either of there would be in relation to the world as he sees it. The clairvoyant is simply a man who develops within himself the power to respond to another octave out of the stupendous gamut of possible vibrations, and so enables him to see more of the world around him than those of more limited perception. So means as we develop these senses of tuning into the etheric matter and sense it, tuning into the astral matter and sense it, and then also clairvoyance to see the etheric matter, to see the astral matter, to see the mental matter, then only we can actually perceive the world as it is. Because without that, the experience of the world is so limited. Okay, and this is the last chapter that we want to read together today, and that is Man's Vehicles, chapter 4. Now, if we turn to plate 2, we shall see a diagram of these planes of nature. This is plate 2. As we shall also observe the names which have been employed to designate the vehicles or bodies of man, which correspond to them. It will be noticed that the names used in theosophical literature for the higher planes are derived from Sanskrit. For in Western philosophy, we have as yet no terms for these worlds composed of finer states of matter. Each of these names has its special meaning, though in the case of the higher planes, it indicates only how little we know of these conditions. Okay, so you see the names, Bhutik, Nirvanic, Paranirvanic, Maha, Paranirvanic. All these terms are Sanskrit, but they actually present how little we know, because Paranirvanic means beyond Nirvanic. Mahaparanirvanic means greater than, beyond Nirvanic. Now, Nirvana has for ages been the term employed in the East to convey the idea of the highest conceivable spiritual attainment. To reach Nirvana is to pass beyond humanity, to gain a level of peace and bliss far above earthly comprehension. Okay, so Nirvanic is basically when we reach adeptship, means one level above our hardship. When we reach initiation 5, when we reach the goal which has been set for earth chain, then we reach the nirvanic plane and we don't need to incarnate anymore. And if you have studied the book Solar System with us, there we explain that once we reach that, 7 paths will be presented before the person to choose from. So it means life will not cease, will not stop, but continues in one of 7 possibilities or choices. So absolutely is all that is earthly left behind by the aspirant who attains its transcendent glory. That some European Orientalists fell at first into the mistake of supposing that it was an entire annihilation of the man, an idea that which nothing could be more utterly the opposite of the truth. So some people previously thought after nirvana is nothing, but actually there is a lot more responsibilities and a lot more choices to be made after nirvanic, after a person reached the nirvanic plane. To gain the full use of the exalted consciousness of this exceedingly elevated spiritual condition is to reach the goal appointed for human evolution during this aeon or dispensation, to become an adept, a man who is something more than man. Okay, so the goal for earth chain, for humanity to achieve in the earth chain, is to achieve adeptship, one level above arhat, initiation 5. So if you read Master Choa Great Vision, there he explains that we need to have one prana killer per family, one arhatic yoga practitioner in 1,000, and then from there in 150 years, we can achieve heaven on earth, and we can achieve the creation of 3 holy masters. And that is to actually achieve adeptship. So we need one prana killer per family, so that in 150 years, we can get to, if I'm not mistaken, 3 adepts, if I'm not mistaken, in that great vision. So for the vast majority of humanity, each progress will be attained only after cycles of evolution. But the few determined souls who refuse to be daunted by difficulties, who as it were take the kingdom of heaven by violence, may find this glorious prize within the reach at a much earlier period. And as Master Choa says, Arhatic Yoga is one of the fastest ways to achieve that level. Yes, in the beginning we said the book only says man, but you don't take man as male. It means man and woman, male and female. It means human. But because the book has been written many years ago in this language, so please don't take man as male figure. It means human, okay? Thank you. Of the states of consciousness above this, we naturally know nothing, except that they exist. Para signifies beyond, and Maha means great. So all the information conveyed by the names of these conditions is that the first is one plane beyond Nirvana, and the other one is the greater plane beyond Nirvana. Because those are too high to achieve, so a bit difficult to comprehend. Now, the name of Buddhi has been given to that principal or component part of man, means human, which manifests itself through the matter of the 4th plane, while the mental plane is the sphere of action of what we call the mind in man. in, again, human, okay? So physical, astral, mental. Mental has lower mental and higher mental, also called rupa and arupa, which we're going to discuss shortly. And then we have buddhic, and then nirvanic, and so on. So it will be observed that this plane is divided into two parts, which are distinguished by a difference in color, and the names of rupa and arupa means respectively having form and formless. Okay. Yes, thank you so much for pointing out in the message that we need to say man and woman. These are taken from the book itself. Okay, these are the words from the book, because we want to read from the book and then explain. So that's why we didn't change the words, because we didn't want to change the book, the language in the book. But in the beginning, before we begin the session, we mentioned that whenever you see man, don't think of it as man, but think of it as human. Okay, both man and woman, both male and female. Okay, as much as possible, I will try to say it as man and woman or human, but when you see this in the text, please look at it as human, not man. We didn't change it because we didn't want to change the language in the book. Okay, thank you for understanding. Okay, now going back to mental plane. So we have lower mental and higher mental. Lower mental is called rupa, means with form. Higher mental is called arupa, means formless. These are names given in order to indicate a certain quality of the matter of the plane. In the lower part of it, the matter is very readily molded by the action of human thought into definite forms, while on the higher division, this does not occur, but more abstract thought of that level expresses itself to the eye of the clairvoyant in flashes or streams. So means when a person is thinking, is thinking in this level, this will lead to the creation of thought forms. It comes with forms, but thinking in this level doesn't lead to creation of forms, but streams. It's formless. And then the name astral is not of our choosing based on the book. So all of this is the language written in the book. Yeah, it's not written by us. We have inherited it from the medieval alchemists. It signifies starry. So astral means starry, and is supposed to have been applied to the matter of the plane next above the physical, because of the luminous appearance which is associated with the more rapid rate of its vibration. So when clairvoyants look at the astral plane, they see light, brilliant light, okay, like starry light. So that's why they gave the name astral, because it looks like stars, starry, brilliant, luminous colors. The astral plane is the world of passion, of emotion and sensation. And it is through human's vehicle on this plane that all our feelings exhibit themselves to the clairvoyant investigator. Okay, so means the astral plane is the world of emotions, passions. So when a clairvoyant looks at the astral plane or astral body of a person, they can see different emotions in different colors. Now, to know what color means what emotion, please refer to the book Astral Body by Arthur Powell. Now, the astral body of man is therefore continually changing in appearance as his or her emotions change, as we shall presently show in detail. So means the moment we feel different emotions, the color of this astral body keep changing. Okay, now the book says for us to understand these different planes, you will see that they are shown in different colors, but these colors are not really connected with that plane. It's just an indication in the book that these are different planes, that's all. it's not about, like, this color is not connected with a physical plane, for example, or this color is not connected with the astral world. And also the colors that are visible to the clairvoyant sight in the astral plane and mental plane and so on are very different from the colors we perceive in the physical world. There is no similar color to them in the physical world. So that's why when you see different colors in the book Astral Body, or in this book, for example, when it reaches to different colors in the aura or emotions or thoughts, they are shown in those colors because it's very difficult to actually show what color they really are, because we don't have any similarity in the physical world. So it will be noticed that the number of planes is 7. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each of these 7 are subdivided into another 7. So we have 7 planes, and each plane has 7 subplanes, which there are different grades of matter in seven grades of matter. And that each of them in turn is divided into 7 subplanes. This number 7 has always been considered as a holy and occult because it is found to underlie manifestation in various ways. If you go back to the study of the solar system we did previously, you also see that each chain has 7 planes and so on. So, and then we have 7 planes, and each plane has 7 subplanes. So number 7 keeps repeating in manifestation. In the lower planes, which are within the reach of our investigation, the 7-fold subdivision is very clearly marked, and all indications seem to warrant the assumption that in those higher realms, which are as yet beyond our direct observation, a similar arrangement should be. So we said again in the beginning, as above, so below. Whatever we perceive in the lower worlds, they also happen in the higher worlds. So because all these 7 planes and subplanes were being perceived by the clairvoyants, the idea is that those higher planes that they could not perceive still should follow the same concept, the same principle. Now, as man learns to function in these higher types of matter, he finds that the limitations of the lower life are transcended and fall away one by one. He or she finds himself in a world of many dimensions instead of one of 3 only. And that fact alone opens up a whole series of entirely new possibilities in various directions. The study of these additional dimensions is one of the most fascinating that can be imagined. Short of really gaining the sight of the other planes, there is no method by which so clear a conception of astral life can be obtained as by the realization of the 4th dimension. So, as we go lower in the planes, we see that we have more limitations. Okay, for example, in the physical plane, we have limitation of space. When we use our astral body, we will see that there is no limitation in space. The moment we want to be in another environment or country or place, we can be there. And then we also realize that there is 4 dimension. Now, there is no limitation of time also. Now, what is 4 dimension? 4 dimension means perceiving something in the past, present, and future simultaneously. So means when you use your astral sight to perceive an object, because there is also 4th dimension, you perceive that object throughout time, means past, present, future, simultaneously. The history of this, our earlier evolution can be obtained by examination of this. So means if a clairvoyant has access to astral sight and they start to look at the evolution of humankind, they can see the whole thing simultaneously. They can see where the solar system was, where the solar system is, and where the solar system is going to be, because there is this fourth dimension, which means past, present, future are being experienced simultaneously. And that gives us more understanding about the whole world, about our system, and about the process of evolution. Means where human being was, where human being is, and where human being supposed to be or will be. This wonderful reflection of the divine memory cannot be consulted with perfect certainty below the mental plane. So for the ready reading of this earlier history, it is necessary that the student shall at least have learned to use with freedom the senses of his or her mental body. And if he or she is so fortunate as to have under his or her control the faculties of the still higher causal body, his or her task will be easier still. So means the more development we achieve and the more evolved we become, and we can use the power of the astral side, the mental side, the causal side, and then we can perceive more information about the whole solar system. Now, in Existence of Self-Evidence book, there is one part that Master Chua Kok Sui explains about perceiving present, past, present, future simultaneously. So we wanted to bring that here, that the experience of the past, present, and future is not static, it is dynamic. The present is continuously becoming the past, the immediate future is becoming the present. Okay, so when we achieve more powers of clairvoyance and we achieve more development of our vehicles, we are able to experience past, present, future simultaneously, because the limitations of the physical world one by one start to disappear. So when we achieve the powers or result in the mental body, then the limitation of the astral body also disappears. So we gain more and more understanding about the whole world and about our system. Okay, so that will end our chapter 4 and therefore our study. Thank you so much for joining us. And let me see if any question. Oh, okay, someone. Oh, I just saw the messages you shared about the practice we had. Okay, so you felt that a cleaner energy was lighter, the contaminated one had pain feeling, very good, yes. Contaminated part feels hot and sticky, fantastic. Yes, there is a difference. Pain area was a little heavier and hot, fantastic. So you see, simple practice of tuning into different etheric matter gives us the ability to see that we don't only have the ability to experience the physical world, but also the etheric world. And then when we try to tune into emotions, we also see that different emotions feel differently. Now, if we start to develop our sight also, we may go beyond the physical form and we may see the etheric form and then the astral forms and the mental forms and so on. So thank you so much for joining us and thank you so much for your suggestions and feedback. I will try to read man as human, man and woman as much as I remember to. But please remember that these books have been written many, many years ago, and the language is a bit different from what we usually read now. So, and we try to just copy and paste from the book because we don't want to change anything by our own perception, because each person, when they read the book, you may get different understanding of the book. So we want to keep what is written in the book by the author there, and but we try to explain and understand it together more. But thank you so much for pointing it out because it's an important matter. Thank you. Let's finish with a short invocation. Please close your eyes. Inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. Relax your body. Mentally say to the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, and all the great, great ones, thank you for all of your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, and divine power, divine guidance, help, and protection. Thank you in full faith. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. Exhale slowly and be aware of your whole body. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly, inhale all the blessings. And when you are comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. Thank you so much. Atma Namaste. See you next week. Bye.